morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, for the very first time, we're going to be looking at a Copperarjah card. I know, we've never looked at a Copperarjah card before. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, we can, and this is pretty big. By which I mean it's absolutely huge. I'm talking Wailord big. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we have 190 HP on a Stage 1 Pokemon. To put this into context, I showed you the Rillaboom from the V-Dex the other day, and I told you that that was the first time we'd ever actually seen 190 HP Stage 2 in the Pokemon trading card game. Well, now we got 190 HP Stage 1. Now, like I've said, this isn't quite at Wailord territory here. The most recent Wailord we got were the one from Celestial Storm that has 220 HP, which is rather high, and the one from Cosmic Eclipse, which has 200 HP, which is a little bit lower, but it's still pretty gosh darn high. So this is not unforeseeably big, but it's still pretty gosh darn big. And you got a retreat cost of 4. Retreat cost of 4 means that you can use buff padding to give yourselves a little bit of extra beef. It means that you can use Pokemaniac to search it out. So it's quite nice to have a retreat cost of 4 at the moment. It's better than having a retreat cost of 3. And being a metal Pokemon means there is more beef to be had. Metal Frying Pan reduces damage done to you by 30 and takes away your weakness. Metal Goggles also reduces damage done to you by 30 but stops your opponent dropping damage counters. And Metal Core Barrier reduces damage done to you by 70 but does fall off at the end of your turn. So really, buff padding is probably still the best option, unless you want to, say, remove your weakness using Metal Frying Pan. And being a metal Pokemon does mean you're hitting weakness against all of those pesky fairy Pokemon, like, for instance, Gardevoir and Sylveon. Though it does also mean you're going to have a weakness to fire, which with all those Weldedex running around is actually kind of annoying. But you do have a resistance to grass nowadays, because that changed recently, which is a bit weird, but maybe that'll end up being fun. But what does it do? Well, for 2 metal energy, you do 60 damage and heal 30. That ain't bad, ladies and gentlemen. That ain't bad at all. 60 damage is fine. I like 60 damage, because 60 damage is the point where you really start getting all the evolving Pokemon. Now, obviously, Ditto Prism Star with 40 HP is nice and easy, and as much as I love my boy Snom, and I do, he is one of those ones that's only got 50 HP. But 60 HP, you're looking at a bunch of stuff like Inkay. Now, to be fair, you've still got stuff like Poipole coming in at 70 HP that will avoid getting KO'd, but generally speaking, you should be hitting a decent amount of evolving Pokemon here, getting the KO. There's nothing to stop you adding Vitality Band here to do an extra 10 damage. And that would then potentially allow you to get things like Poipole that come in at 70. But remember, I've said there's quite a lot of Pokemon tools that you might be considering with this being a... Well, it's a metal Pokemon, right? It's got all those other ones, so I'm not sure how much I love Vitality Band here. But I do like Healing 30. And Healing 30 isn't great, it's not a huge amount of damage, but Healing 30 when you've got 190 HP, pretty good. Now imagine you got a Metal Frying Pan on there, so you're not being hit for weakness, and any damage done to you is reduced by 30, and then you're instantly healing 40 off, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at a very, very nice amount of healing, and preventing damage, just beef in general, right? Just beef in general. 190 HP, reducing damage done to you by 30, healing 30 every turn, it's quite a lot. And it adds up very quickly to make you, frankly, a Pokemon that's just not going down without a fight. So the 60 damage is fine, the healing is fine, it's not a game-winning attack, it's very much an early game attack. But it's also worth pointing out here that we're getting Metal Saucer, which is just a metal version of Aqua Patch. Which is to say you attach a metal energy from your discard pile to one of your benched metal Pokemon. This is wonderful. Because now, if you can get one Metal Saucer going in the early game, this is an early game attack. Now remember that Copperarjah is still a stage 1, you've still got to evolve up into this. But as soon as you've evolved up, you're good. Now, of course, the other argument is 2 energy on a stage 1, 1 turn 1, 1 turn 2. Yes, but it also means you can power it up in a single turn if you are so inclined, which is a rather nice thing indeed. Now, there is a second attack here, and the second attack is even better. Free metal energy, 220 damage. If this Pokemon has more than 8 damage counters on it, this attack does nothing. Okay, that's amazing. Now, it's not perfect, but initially it's wonderful. Again, you've got Metal Saucer here, so this should be moderately, if you make a fast enough deck, this should be a moderately reliable turn 2 attack. Like, you go first, get an energy on, and then on your second turn you evolve up, get a second energy on, and as long as you hit a Metal Saucer on turn 1 or turn 2, either will be fine, you're hitting 220. And that's ridiculous, because that's basically every non-GX. That is every basic GX, even your bigger boys like Guzzlord, for instance. It's not seeing a huge amount of play, but it's got a lot of HP. Even that's going down in one hit here. And the biggest V Pokemon we've seen at the moment are things like Snorlax V, which are coming in at 220. And actually, to be fair, your stage 1 GXs like Naganadel, they're going down as well. Essentially, this is getting everything except for stage 2 GXs, if you can find any of them. Tag team Pokemon like your Mewtwo and Mew, for instance, and your Pokemon VMAX. Snorlax VMAX is still, let's just say miles away, because that's still sitting there on 340. Though if you can find one that's weak, it will go down very nicely. My point here is that you're getting the vast majority of Pokemon with this attack. You're talking basically tag teams and VMAX, and everything else is going down. And okay, as soon as you've accumulated 8 damage, that's going to be a problem. But you know what? It's not that big a problem, because you can get this rolling nice and quickly. You can get this as a turn 2 attack and jump ahead to a big lead. And then, of course, we've got healing options. I mean, one of the options I really like here is Super Scoop Up. It's a pain to hit it, but if you can hit it, it's pretty gosh darn good. Or, I mean, if you're in Expanded, you've got stuff like Ace Roller, you've got stuff like AZ, you've got stuff like Max Potion, so you're really not having a particularly hard time here at all. Moving into Standard, we don't quite have as good healing options, except we actually do. We got Mallow and Lana. And the thing is that Mallow and Lana heals 120. Flicks you to the bench and you heal 120 from the one that you flicked to the bench. And obviously then you just put a Pokemon with free retreat in the active and then free retreat it. And if you've got more than 8 damage counters, you stop doing the extra damage. But if you get 190 damage, you get KO'd. But you're healing 120, which is to say that if Mallow and Lana will not bring you down below the threshold, letting you do 220, you've already been knocked out. Okay. Yeah, Mallow and Lana will work. We've also got Mixed Herbs, incidentally. Mixed Herbs is really nice. Heals 90 damage and all special conditions. So Mixed Herbs, again, there will be a very small window where you can heal 90 damage and still have more than 8 damage counters on. But come on, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be so slim, it's not even really worth worrying about. And all of a sudden, we've got a Pokemon that's doing 220 damage for free energy and has got all the advantages of being a metal Pokemon. Maybe if we didn't have Metal Frying Pan, maybe if we didn't have Metal Saucer, I'd be going, well, it's not quite as good, really, is it? But we do have them, ladies and gentlemen. We do have them. And that's my point here. I adore this. I think we are going to see some really good rogue decks running around with this. I think this is absolutely going to see some love. And one of my favourite things about it, it's got a retreat cost of 4, which means it will work absolutely beautifully with the Steelix from Cosmic Eclipse, whereby for 2 colourless energy, you discard any number of Pokemon with a retreat cost of 4 from your hand and do 50 damage for each one that you discarded. Yeah, that's going to work. The pre-evolution, unfortunately, only has a retreat cost of 3, which means it can't be searched out with Pokemaniac and it can't be used for Steelix's attack. So we are actually looking for a Cufant, or however it's pronounced, with a retreat cost of 4 sooner rather than later. That is on my wish list for Pokemon cards. And sooner or later, right, we're going to have one, probably, I assume, released with a retreat cost of 4. And it's probably going to be some terrible card that nobody else cares about. And I'm going to look at that and go, yes, this is right. I genuinely think this is going to be a really, really good rogue deck. And I think this is going to see a lot of play because we can heal it up nicely. We can get the energy on easily. It's got a ridiculous HP and it does a huge amount of damage. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, a very quick correction from earlier in the video. I said it will KO any Pokemon V. There is actually Zamazenta V, which has 230. So there is one Pokemon V we've seen that will actually survive a hit from this. My apologies. But even then, Vitality Band will work. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm giving it 4 Wassies, and honestly, I think this might end up being a little bit, well, stingy. I really like this. This is one of the decks I most want to be trying out from Sword and Shield when it comes out. I think it's going to be an awful lot of fun. But I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in but are still awesome. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.